All right, guys. So before construction, it's important that you make a plan so that way you don't spin your wheels and waste time. So, oops, a little ahead of myself there. So before construction, right? If you have the money, find contractors and tradesmen and handymen. Don't just start doing a bunch of work right away. I would suggest only because that you can save a lot of time in the future. Okay, time is everything, and this is the biggest secret. So for me, okay, so this is the biggest secret: hiring contractors you can afford. That is the game changer when it comes to long-term investing in real estate. Okay, you want to avoid burnout. You want to do this over and over again. You want to invest in a lot of properties. Humble yourself and start hiring people that you can afford. That is the game changer. Now, okay, granted, for the first property, you might not actually be able to afford contractors, right? You might have to do the work yourself. That's what I had to do. And honestly, I was built a lot of confidence. I was very prideful about the fact that, hey, look at me. I did all the stuff and it was really great. Don't get me wrong. It's humbling. I want my children to do it too, like to build that character, to really appreciate working with our hands. It's amazing to have that skill set. Okay. But what the thing that will make you a pro in the long term is hiring people, and finding affordable help will create limitless opportunity. Okay. That is what's important. And it's really great to build relationships with people who you can trust. Like, that's the wonderful thing about real estate, is the fact that you get to build relationships with people. A lot of times, a lot of investors don't want to build those relationships, and that's why so many people just avoid real estate as a whole, because they don't trust contractors. They don't trust, they've been maybe screwed over or backstabbed in the past. So because of those experiences, right, they extrapolate that event with everything else, and they're like, I'm never going to hire a contractor again, which I totally understand. Okay. But in the long run, once you find a couple of people you can trust and you realize, wow, these people do good work and they're affordable, maybe I can do this again and again and again. So here's an example why it's important to learn how to eventually hire people out, okay, and build a team. I had a client who we drove all over the city in a 1 week period. We looked at 15 properties. Okay, that's a lot of properties to look in a week, especially if you're a full time employee. And it takes a lot of work to coordinate, plan, and walk these lots to determine that. Now, when I talked about the biggest secret, this is why it's super important, is that, like, if the numbers look good on a property, right? You're like, whoa, the income, I validated the income on Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, Hot Pads, Craigslist, and these apartments make money. And then all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh man, this place kind of looks like a dump. Guess what, guys? The numbers speak for themselves. And it almost doesn't matter that the property looks like a dump, because remember, from the renovator pillar, we are going to become renovators. Okay, this is how we're going to be able to eliminate slumlord culture, is that we look at a property that has good value and we're going to fix it up to create something more desirable for yourself and for your prospective tenants. And that is going to be your superpower. So here he is looking around for all these different properties, and where it's like, this guy had the confidence to develop the renovator skill, it wouldn't even matter, because as long as the property makes money, you could turn it into something that you want, and you could turn it into something your tenants want as well. So that is the biggest secret, is to be able to learn that skill set, that renovator skill set, to develop the skill to hire people and to know who to call, when to call, and to look at defects and how to solve problems. So, okay, here are some of the resources to hire help: Facebook Marketplace, Angie's List, Craigslist, OfferUp, and TaskRabbit. These are ready made resources, right? Good old Facebook Marketplace. Guys, you're going to find a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplaces. You can find old AC units. So let's say, for instance, someone wants to upgrade their AC unit, and it's only 3 or 4 years old or something. You can get it for pennies on the dollar and still use it for another 8 years, as long as you have a good HVAC technician. Craigslist. I love Craigslist. Okay, it has bad rap. We're going to go over that later, but I absolutely love Craigslist. I absolutely love OfferUp. The app is fantastic. Okay, and TaskRabbit is good. It's also good for instance, if you need to build furniture and stuff like that. TaskRabbit's pretty solid as well. So here's a warning. Okay, Now, I have friends who are cops, and they're like, I'm never going to use Craigslist. You're insane. There's basically so many people steal stuff and sell it on Craigslist. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but you can't count it out, okay? Especially if it's a rental property. As long as you don't have like children and it's a relatively safe neighborhood, learning how to hire people and using a rental property as your canvas to experiment with people is wonderful, because if they don't do the work perfectly but it's livable still, and it probably looks better than what it did, don't have to keep you don't have to hire that person again. And it's not like they know where you live, right? So I think hiring Craigslist is great, especially when you're experimenting with people. You got to be able to cast that net. You got to find that build that team. And once you eventually build that team, you don't really need to use Craig. Like I haven't used Craigslist almost in a couple of years because I've already built my team. I've already recruited everyone. So now, for instance, right, even though Craigslist has a bad rap sheet, I literally found the best phone installation guy on Craigslist. I found a solid electrician on Craigslist too at a very affordable price. So, you know what? I'm willing to take that chance. I'm willing to look in places where other people aren't willing to go. And on OfferUp, I bought a lawnmower on OfferUp, okay? And the guy who sold me the lawnmower was connected to my current landscaper. My landscaper who knows how to cut palm trees, he knows how to do everything. Remember I talked about, hey, listen, like if there's a drainage issue and stuff and you know where it needs to be drained, well, guess what? Your landscaper could probably help you with that too. So like you just got to be as resourceful as possible. And just as a hint of warning, like if you're going to take a chance, obviously don't try someone new on your personal residence. Always experiment with your rental property. That's the other reason why I love rental properties. And now that I've built a team, these are people who I'm willing to let over to my personal house to do work too. And that's going to be an unfair advantage, right? Remember, we talked about my client who was looking at all these different properties. Oh, and just FYI, he didn't even pull the trigger on anything because he didn't like it. So it, it blew my mind. That's why I decided to create the renovation pillar to get people wrapped around that they need to be creative. You need to have that ability to restore something to its former glory. And it's like as long as the numbers look good, you're totally golden. Now, let's go ahead and see. Let's see my other notes here. Yeah, honestly, I don't really care what a property looks like anymore as long as the numbers look good. And a lot of times, if you try to find a property that's been on the market for over 90 days, I bet you the seller's getting a little bit motivated to sell the property, okay? Um, Especially if it's a property that it's like, hey, it's been on the market for 90 days, it needs a total gut job. Yeah, not going to stress, especially if I know that we can make money after the property is renovated. And that's going to be your unfair advantage too. So, all right, guys, this is all before the construction. If you have a little bit of money to try to hire some of the work out, I recommend doing that. It's going to help you not get burnt out. It's going to help you enjoy investing in real estate. So, and building a team is it's a really wonderful experience. So.